Okay guys, it's my evening now. Been kind of busy in the morning, so I thought I'd do some evening videos. And today I'm going to talk to you about, not the business, no, not the fact that I've been in ketosis, over 6 years now with no refeeds. I'm going to talk to you guys about client stories on what's been happening to some of you out there, because you guys shape and form my videos. Yes, I know the quality sucks, but the message is still good. Here we go. Talk to a young guy, 23 years old, shout out, and he had problems keto adapting. The longest he went, he tried it twice, I believe, and the longest he went was 10 days. After 10 days, unbearable. Unbearable. And so he had some complications. He felt cold every time he tried to go on keto. So he was reading the works of Ray Peat and read that if you do a simple sugar like orange juice, your temperature regulation will balance. Well, I said to him, thyroid, and he agreed. Sounds like a thyroid issue. But for that reason of constantly feeling cold every time he would drop his carbs, he decided to kind of try to go off of keto and do slow-burning starches like rice and sweet potato. But still in the back of his mind, there was this nagging force to want to try keto again. He felt that that was optimum health to do ketogenesis, to try the ketogenic diet. So another issue he had was, of course, feeling tired, especially when waking up in the morning. So we've got thyroid symptoms, and we have another big one, which a lot of you guys don't realize, which is gallbladder. So he did gallbladder flushes. He said up to 10 of them. Be careful, you guys, with the cleanses and the flushes, because it's really huge stress on the body, and can be actually problematic if you're not ready. So you have to be ready to do flush. So he did a gallbladder flush to get rid of a lot of stones, which he did, which is like Epsom salt, and I think garlic, and of course olive oil. But I digress. The point is that every time he also would try to eat fat. So not only would he go through this like, I'm cold, but he would also go through these symptoms of nausea. And so, yes, that can be a symptom of gallbladder, especially if it's from a saturated fat like bacon or red meat, and butter, which is not red meat, but it's a saturated fat from an animal. But of course, with coconut oil, which is another issue, because he was trying to do keto not much on animal fats and not much on MCTs, because the MCTs, the capric and caprylic acid, were hard for him to digest, and so therefore, where are you getting your fat from, dude? You know, you're having gallbladder issues, so you can't do a lot of fat. So let's talk about that. This client story is kind of in a couple of areas. So he signed up for a second consultation. I actually spoke to him when I first started vlogging, and I've learned so much from you guys since then. He was ready to come back. But here we go. So what's the deal? Why do you guys think he wasn't adapting? Was it the thyroid conditions, or was it the gallbladder, or can you adapt with those type of metabolic or organ issues? Well, yes you can. And so what I did, actually, I know I'm just rambling, but what I did is start asking him a series of questions, because I do not feel that people who get stumped on keto, I don't think that they've done their due diligence to try everything. He tried the ox bile, so a lot of you guys who have difficulties with your gallbladder, or who do not have a gallbladder, it's being tossed around that ox bile, salts from an ox, will help to scrub and break down those fats so they can get into your digestive tract, or to your bloodstream, essentially. So your body can make ketones via the liver. So when I started asking him the questions, because remember, he could go about 10 days and he just couldn't take it anymore. So I said, okay, what time do you go to bed? He said, well, like 2. And I was like, 2? 2 a.m.? He said, yeah. And I'm like, okay. You're going to bed 2 a.m. And I said, did you go and learn more about MCTs? Because they might be quite helpful because you're having gallbladder issues. So what I actually think is, even though he'd done a gallbladder flush, and for those out there who don't know this gallbladder issue, the gallbladder holds salts from the liver. And those salts will help scrub and break down your fats, so it can be converted into ketones and be used for your brain. The problem is a lot of you guys are starting to feel a little nauseated, a little bloated, a little burpy on keto and don't know why. And then of course there's a problem of being able to digest proteins. A lot of you guys are not eating enough proteins, but that's a whole other story. Because I'm getting people who haven't eaten that much meat, and even though keto is a low to moderate amount of protein, the type of protein is critical to keto adapt. So I don't know why these vegans out there, I tried it, I tested, it doesn't work. You are going to starve without the animal fats. I'm really sorry. You can eat all the coconut oil you want, it's not going to work, or olive oil. You need the animal fats, sorry. Anyway, and the protein. So the point is, with this particular character, this person who had gallbladder issues or symptoms of a sludgy gallbladder, and we started trying to, most men don't end up having a gallbladder issue. It's mostly women that experience this through estrogen dominance. It's this cascading effect where your liver becomes clogged. So a lot of people who've got gallbladder issues also have liver issues. The liver gets fatty, their HCl levels are too low. This is going to affect the gallbladder itself and the way it starts to get sludged up and it starts to form stones. And a lot of people walk around, they don't know that they have stones. And what causes this, of course, is number one, it's carbohydrates. Yes, this blood sugar dysregulation, high starches, processed foods will create a sludge in your gallbladder, especially if your blood sugar dysregulation, the adrenals are overfiring, and now the liver, kidney, and estrogen is becoming dominant, even in you men. So now the thyroid issues, so I'm just like, look, you came to me 2 years ago, and in 2 years you tried keto for 10 days max, you went off. And now you're just learning more about the physical body. Very smart guy. But he was too afraid to go through these terrible metabolic disorder symptoms again and needed help, so here I am. And I said, okay, you have to come to that crossroads in life. We've got to make that decision. If you are going to allow your job, yes, this 23-year-old young guy, you know, he's not having to take care of a family. And I'm like, that night job and your poor sleep patterns in the past are ruining your body. I said, I don't think you are methylating properly. That's detoxing. The cells must respirate. They gotta breathe. They can't get sludged up through glycation. So I was like, sleep is it. Because we know that sleep between 10 and 12 is critical for all of your bodily systems. And here he was going to bed at 2 a.m. So there's no chance of keto adapting. So does that mean people with night shift jobs cannot keto adapt? Mostly yes. Some of you can. I have had a doctor keto adapt working night shifts. But this was a woman who's a doctor who was strict with her keto adaptation. We put together a program that fit with her schedule, and she was on point, fully correct. It was awesome. You guys know that I cannot do a video without sirens. That's just the wave of the EMF poisoning and the craziness of the city and the karma and all that. So anyway, and I am not a granola tree-hugging hippie, I promise you. This is my co-host. Sirens! It's so funny because the last video, I was so into the video that I didn't even notice them. I just kept talking through it, which is, anyway. So the client, this particular client, the cold hands, cold feet, and I was like, I think you got a little reverse T3 going on. I think that your T3 is an issue, or your TSH, something's going on. And didn't have any money, no insurance to do a full thyroid panel. So a lot of you guys who have very obvious thyroid symptoms like feeling cold, hands and feet, dry skin, hair, gnarly constipation, or leaky gut, a lot of you guys can go and start kind of messing around to see if your symptoms will improve. So what I did with him was I said, we're going to do cruciferous vegetables cooked. We're not going to do, because instead of using orange juice as a way to raise his temperature, we're going to use cruciferous carbohydrates. And yes, we're going to use coconut oil, MCT oil. And I said, what I want you to do is I want you to take that coconut oil by a tablespoon and match it with a bite of protein, a fatty protein like a chicken thigh. I said, we're going to do this 6 times a day. So not only are we going to have the MCT, which he had a hard time digesting, with the meat, but we're also going to use the butter. I also had him load on matching 1-for-1 tablespoon of butter with a tablespoon of a fatty meat, because you need caloric acid, you need peptides and things to break down fats and proteins when you eat meat. So that production of digestive enzymes and HCl. So I said, let's have a bite and match it. So if you're having thyroid symptoms, instead of eating, let's say, which I like to get about 70 grams, like 68 grams of fat per main meal. Like if you ate 3 times a day, you'd have about 68 grams of fat. Definitely at least 50%, if not more, being from animal fat, which would mean more butter or meat fats, or duck fat or lard or beef tallow, whatever. And I had him do it every hour, hour and a half to 2 hours, 1-for-1, so he could be able to, because using orange juice is exacerbating the problem with his gallbladder. It's not healing with using simple sugars. So instead of using simple sugars, let's get yourself to bed early. Let's, he's only working 3 days a week, so let's be rock star in those 4 days to heal the body. And no Kindle and no reading and none of this stuff from bed. You have to clear the mind, people. You have to clear the mind and get to a very, very parasympathetic state in the latter half of your day. And so where are we? Because I'm over talking a little bit. But I think this client story is quite interesting. And what I decided to do, this particular one client story, because I don't think I'll make it with the second one with all my talking. This one was so interesting because this is a lot of you guys are having thyroid symptoms. You may not have the cold hands or feeling cold, but your hair might start to thin in chunks when you try keto. That is very common. I mean, it is more common than you realize. Or the constipation. Yes. So a lot of you guys will have leaky gut, which he didn't have extreme leaky gut, but he definitely had candida symptoms. So I was like, that orange juice is not going to help your candida. It's not. So, and the coconut oil, which is antimicrobial, antifungal, will help. Well, so will oregano oil. That's a whole other subject. But I was like, let's split up your meats and your fats, and let's get them throughout the day, and let's start trying to add back in some red meat. Because obviously red meat is the worst for the body to break down. If you're having low HCl, which I said you might have low HCl, I suggested potentially B18 HCl with Pepsin Whole Foods to try to get his HCl levels. I said, are you having any type of acid reflux symptoms, which is a typical sign of too low stomach acid. When you try to do keto, these are the things that you may not even consider why you feel so bad. Is it the keto flu? Is it prior leaky gut? Is it your gallbladder? Is it a gnarly dysbiosis in your gut, which is pretty much leaky gut? Is it your thyroid? Are these things, are these body parts playing a role? Keto is for everyone, but the way that you apply this to your life is critical. It's critical. So you see what I was trying to do. I was trying to break up his fats and break up his protein so he could get beyond that 10-day, I can't handle this anymore. I needed to fat load all day long. And in his main meals, we had to lower the protein because I'm having him take a bite of protein throughout his day so he could meet his protein demand for the day and his fat demand. So this is a major client story